Hello.
Hi.
Here we are again.
It's time.
I realized I've never worn my glasses when we've done this pod, but like they're like a perfect example. Actually, Adam and I's both of our glasses are perfect Harry Potter glasses.
Yeah, it's true.
A perfect example of the Harry Potter frames. Adam, how are you doing this lovely Thursday?
I'm fine.
How's it going over there?
It's it continues to move. Yesterday it was like 80 a couple days ago, so it was like actually quite warm, which was nice. But
oh my gosh. Yeah, it's very warm here today and was yesterday as well. It's quite warm.
Quite warm.
Do you guys hide from the heat when it's warm? Or are you like British people and they're like, oh, the sun, and everyone just like sits outside in the direct sunlight?
We like went on a walk, but we don't have like any place to go. I mean, like a park, but we don't have like an outdoor space at our apartment or anything.
Right. You'll just go for a walk with like Friedrich and then come back in. Are you putting on the SPF as well, Adam?
That's my goal this year. Is I'd like to, be more conscious of doing that for sure.
Actually wear the sunscreen all the time. The thing about sunscreen, though, that is annoying is you have to put it on multiple times per day. Because I'm like, I'm fine. I put sunscreen on first thing in the morning if I'm going somewhere. But then like later in the afternoon, if I need to reapply the sunscreen again, I'm a little bit like, ugh.
Yeah.
Again?
Yeah.
Well, this week we read chapter 11 called The Bribe. And for the life of me, I could not remember why this was called The Bribe. Did you have this happen to you as well, where you were like, what the?
Yeah,
why is it
there's
called
no
this?
bribe in this, is there? Am I just not
there
seeing
is at the
one
very,
that's
very
obvious?
end.
With Umbridge?
She who must not be named, she bribes him to like not turn him in.
Oh,
so she's like,
I see.
You give me that.
I misunderstood.
And then I won't tell on you or
I see.
Yeah. The Bribe.
The Bribe.
Chapter 11. Adam, what happens in this chapter?
While the Golden Trio wait for Creature to come back with Mundungus Fletcher, they get a visit from Remus Lupin.
Great. Perfect.
They open my notes. So the chapter starts out, and obviously they've just sent away Creature to bring Mundungus back.
Right.
And he does not reappear immediately with Mundungus. So this causes Harry to, get a little anxious.
I love how we thought it was going to be so easy as well. I was like, him popping back into the house is very different than him hunting down someone that they have no idea where he might be.
Right. Creature knows where you are because you're magically bound to each other. He doesn't know where Mundungus is.
Yeah. He doesn't have that connection with Mundungus.
Right. As they wait, they notice that there are two men now standing in the square watching where number 12 would be. And they just are there night and day now. They're just always present. So they've definitely gleaned that that's probably a couple Death Eaters. I was going to say Dementors. Death Eaters.
Dementors.
So that's, not ideal.
Not great.
And things have gotten a little tense at number 12 Grimald. Hermione and Ron have started arguing about lights because Ron needs a fidget spinner.
I was going to say, that's not, you don't just turn the lights on and off and on and off.
Yeah.
Other people are using the lights, sir.
Because Hermione's reading Tales of Beetle the Bard, which again is a children's book. And they get into this argument because he turns off the lights while she's in the middle of a chapter. They snap at each other, blah, 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 blah. And what interrupts this is they hear the front door open. They hear the voice of, all the jinxes happen again. So they hear the voice of Moody calling him a murderer. They hear, they see the corpse of Dumbledore come out of the dust. And again, all it takes is someone to go, "It is not I that killed you." And the thing goes away. I've already said my piece about how I don't think this is helpful, but whatever.
The dust literally explodes, which is like my worst nightmare. I'm like, all that dust just went back into the rug somewhere. I would have to
be on my inhaler all the time in this house.
Yeah. You could not live in this house.
No. Even without a cat, I would truly be like, I'm dying here.
Yeah.
So it's revealed that it's Remus Lupin who is there. Harry does not trust it, obviously, so he makes him like prove himself, share information that only Harry and him would know.
Yeah.
Which does include him saying, I taught you the Patronus charm and your Patronus is a stag. So there you go.
Yep.
And he explains once they like, come down from the high of someone's coming in. He explains that he had to apparate onto the top step of number 12 Grimald Place in order to escape the guys who were like outside. He didn't.
So like they're not spotted on the street.
He didn't really explain how he knew that there were people outside, but that's fine. I just wanted to point that out. He just knew that
wouldn't he have just walked up not knowing?
Yeah, that was my thought. Unless he like apparated first into the park, noticed them, and then immediately like reapparated again. I don't know what the refractory period on apparition is. Can you just like go, or does your body need to like adjust?
Also, I mean, I think they would have recognized him specifically just because he's like a bit more notorious than other people in the order, being the only werewolf member.
So anyway, he apparated onto the top step so he could get inside, which ensured that they wouldn't see him. And once inside, they talk about what's happened since the wedding. So
because they don't know.
They have no idea. So he asks them like, "What did you all do when you left? Did you just apparate straight here?" And they were like, "No, we went to Tottenham Court Road." And then they tell the story of like when they were like found, basically. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "That's really that's suspicious. That's suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious."
Again, another Parks and Rec reference. Wow.
It's coming, guys.
So yeah, he's like, that's sus. And then I think it's Hermione brings up, or no, maybe it's Harry, is like, could it be that they still have the trace? And he's like, no.
Hermione is like, could he have the trace on him?
Yeah. And he's like, no, definitely for sure that couldn't be it. And Ron looks very like smug with himself because he had already been like, no, he can't.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, well, that's our business. That's what we've been doing. What have you been up to? How's it going? You been to any farmers markets lately or anything? And he's like, well, so here's the tea. So last thing we knew, Kingsley Shacklebolt had sent the Patronus that had ended the wedding. Mm-hmm. He said that like, luckily, because he had sent that Patronus, like it gave people enough time to like kind of like most people had disapparated by the time they got there, and they're like, "Who's they? Death Eaters or Ministry?" And he was like, "A bit of both, really. A bit of both."
They're the same at this point.
There's no
like for us
why
just try and stay safe,
right? And so they had like, a bunch of people had left. They were obviously like looking for Harry, but he says that they didn't know that he was they had no intel that he was at the Burrow. And then he says, because only the order knew, which we actually know is not true, because famously Harry told that guy at the fucking wedding, "Hey, I'm Harry Potter."
Doge.
Yeah.
He told
Doge, who had already, and that's one thing to be like, oh, well, he, in a moment, like, whatever, Doge, whatever. Arthur had told Doge that Harry was going to be there.
Yeah, and I don't know why specifically Doge, why that needed to be said.
I don't know.
Fair enough that Harry tells him.
Right.
But it's weird for like Arthur Weasley to be like, hey, Doge, because Harry doesn't know him.
Right.
So it's weird. It's just weird.
It's so strange.
Me. He's not a member of the Order.
It's
weird.
So, nobody knew who was there. The other thing they find out is that apparently, because they didn't know that where Harry was, the rumor is that before Scrimgeour died, they tried to torture Harry's whereabouts out of him, but he did not give up Harry's location.
Yeah. Thanks for that, at least.
So,
yeah,
yikes.
not great.
And we find out that the Death Eaters have been on a bit of a rampage, a bit of drama going on. So they went to nobody's dead. He says nobody has died.
No one's dead.
But they burned down Daedalus Diggle's house. Okay. But he's famously not there. He's with Petunia and Vernon.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
And then they did Crucio Tonks's family.
I know.
Which I was like, we just met them. But you know what? That really feels to me like Bellatrix was like, I just want to take this out on my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what that feels like.
I would agree with that.
I don't know if it's about even Tonks specifically herself.
Well, remember we had that bit at the beginning, and so she's just trying to like keep her promise to Voldy that she's like, I will make them hurt.
So then, so there's this part that like threw me off because like, yes, so like the Ministry is basically, it's the Death Eater. There's no difference, right? Yeah. So they said like they're brutal. They feel emboldened to enact brutal spells without fear of arrest. And I was like, have they acted with fear up until this point? And now we're at a new level. I understand the idea that like there's no police anymore, right? Like it doesn't exist or whatever. But like, the Death Eaters do not give me an energy of being like they were cautious before.
No. Also, how does having the help of the Ministry mean that they can just dismantle these like protective charms? Because I'm like, isn't it like whatever the magic is so powerful, the spells are so strong, wouldn't that hold the same whether you had the Ministry curse breakers or not? Like, I don't really understand why that it was just like suddenly they could go to all the safe houses when before there was no way.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I believed that.
Yeah, because like now that they own the Ministry, they can just like get rid of the defense protection. But there was I feel like she tries to write a bit of an explanation, but it doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I'm like, what does it mean? Like, is it like the Ministry had enacted those protections, and now that they own the Ministry, they own the protections, which means they can get rid of the protections? Is it? But I don't think that would be the case because they're also order specific.
Yeah,
I don't see a world in which Voldemort was chasing Harry and then got hit by this like defensive spell and then was like, well, the Ministry still technically exists, so I'm not going to do this one spell that gets rid of it.
This is exactly. I'm like, I'm supposed to believe Voldemort is the most powerful wizard ever, but he couldn't get through that in that moment. But then as soon as the Ministry's like under their thumb, then they can. Yeah. I was a little bit like, but yeah, whatever.
Yeah, because if you think about it, it really doesn't make sense because they definitely had Harry cornered by himself. And everyone else was being chased by other Death Eaters. So, like, there would have been no protection for him.
I feel like it is just like, it is this is another good example of it's just convenient for her to have this now. But, which, like, maybe for the Weasleys. No, you know what? I would have believed it for the Weasleys because there were so many wedding guests. So, like, a wedding guest could have said they were going to this. And then that was, like, some weird loophole was created. for people to be able to show up. I didn't really need them to be able to get through to all the other safe houses. I feel like everything else that was happening would have been enough that it's like, oh, shit is going down, basically.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing with the safe houses is, then I'm just like, that's convenient for you now.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah.
To have that happen. I'm just a little bit like, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so then he's like, oh, by the way, I brought a Daily Prophet. I wanted to share this with you. There's been some developments on the media front.
You're going to find out sooner or later, so.
Yeah, so on the front page of the Daily Prophet is a picture of Harry, and the headline basically insinuates that Harry is the number one suspect in Dumbledore's death. And this is the way that the ministry in quotes, obviously, is using to find Harry, right? That's their public disguise of why they need all hands on deck to find this man who killed Dumbledore.
Yeah.
And they go into this long thing about being it's actually brilliant because now the people who would have looked to you as the next savior since Dumbledore's dead, now they maybe they think you're wrong or something like that.
Yeah, no one's gonna rally around him now because he's his face is on the cover of every newspaper, so everyone's gonna be like, oh, let's avoid being associated with him then.
So Scrimgeour's dead. The public story is that Scrimgeour's just retired, which is crazy because at some point wouldn't you be like, where is he? Does he exist anymore?
And I think, and this is the second time we've seen this in the paper. So yeah, the Muggle Studies teacher supposedly resigning, bullshit.
Pious thick ass.
Yeah.
Is Minister of Magic.
Thick ass.
Under an Imperious curse. So he's basically just a puppet. It doesn't really matter what he's doing.
Which, yes, is it 100% that's what they would do. He would want a puppet. He would not want to. 100%. He would still want to stay behind the scenes.
100%.
Yeah.
And then in the ministry itself, because obviously people still work there. Which is
people
crazy.
Still got their 9-to-5s at the ministry.
Right. People are just trying to make their little 3 galleons an hour or whatever. There are, because of all these policy changes that have come just since Pius has taken over or whatever, there are whispers about being oh, this is for sure Voldemort. But that's the point, is that they're just whispers. Nobody can confirm anything.
Yeah.
Because Harry's well, why didn't Voldemort just make himself Minister of Magic? And I was because he still wants the plausible deniability of being is he back? If he's I'm the Minister of Magic now, nobody can be hey, gee, I wonder if he's behind all this. It's oh yeah, he's behind all this. It's so obvious.
Yeah.
But then Remus doesn't even say that. Remus is well, he has his puppet in place, so it gives him time to do other stuff. As if he's I don't know, busy handling the National Park Service or something. It's and then in Voldemort's off time, he's running Tesla. Okay.
I think because what the bit that I remember from this part was that it was the confusion that it's sowing, that it's people are oh, they're concerned. Oh my, can you hear these dogs? My neighbor's dogs? They're having a field day. Those are not our dogs, listeners, if you can hear them. But basically it was oh, he's doing this so people are confused. If he would have just come outright and said I'm taking over, then everyone might have, risen up against him. But he's sowing the seeds of distrust and just slowly moving in a bit more and more. And so now people are paranoid. The paranoia is happening. And so they're not confiding in each other. So there won't be an outright rebellion or whatever against him and his Death Eaters, because everyone doesn't know if that is actually what's happening or not.
Right. Yeah, there's just it's just mass confusion of what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Everyone's what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I get this, like, does it, it's funny, it's not funny. None of this is funny, but it's interesting because there's so much, like, obviously the Ministry of Magic is based on, like, the concept of, like, the British Parliament, like, it's kind of one-to-one.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't live in Britain, and I don't know super a lot about Britain politics, obviously, so that take everything I say with a grain of salt. But, like, there is a level that, like, it is different because the prime minister can be, like, changed out based on, like, the party in power.
Yep.
The American system being, like, you can only get changed out if you drop dead or resign.
Yeah.
And it's like everything is like so pomp and circumstance around the president that it's like, I don't know if the same one-to-one could happen. I mean, like, it is also just fascinating reading this chapter generally in 2025 and being like, cool, this is just like what's happening right now. Like, what the fuck?
I know.
It's a nightmare.
It's bad.
So
it is crazy though that, like, supposedly Scrimgeour resigned, but then everyone's just like, and we'll never see him again.
Like,
and
not a soul is asking questions.
Yeah.
Not a soul. He knew nobody. He had no friends. I mean, he definitely doesn't give me like he doesn't give me like wife and kids energy for sure.
Yeah. But he would have had like a family in some way.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing is, like, nobody has like a family.
Siblings. No one has, conveniently, no one in the wizarding world.
Dracos and the Malfoys have a family.
And the Dracos.
And the Blacks are all related. But, like, apart from that, she, like, so conveniently leaves out, like, everyone has most people have family.
Yeah.
So interesting. Not that I'm saying that, okay, they also own the Daily Prophet. So, like, even if people were asking questions, it's not like the Daily Prophet's going to be like, questions abound about Rufus Scrimgeour and where the fuck he is. Like, they're not going to print that anymore. So, none of it matters, but it's all interesting.
Yeah.
The other super fun thing that they've decided that they're going to enact a policy about is they have created a Muggle-born registry. Ari, I don't know if you've heard this, but the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., wants to create a autism registry.
Yep. No, I've heard of this.
And I literally read this and I was like, okay, that's all I want to say about that, because it's truly so end times, but. So they've created a Muggle-born registry. Basically, the insinuation is that the only way magic can exist is if it's, like, in your blood. It's a bloodline is how you ascertain magic.
All about the blood, the pure blood bullshit.
It's all about the blood. So the assumption is that anyone who has no wizarding lineage, they have taken by threat or force, they've stolen magic from someone. The craziest part of this whole thing, because first of all, they go, well, then if that was true, wouldn't squibs just steal magic so that they could, like, not be squibs?
Thank you for saying that right away.
And for sure. Before that, I just was like, how does one steal magic? Like, what is that even? Like, the concept of having what does that mean?
And also, at that point, aren't you just a witch or a wizard at that point?
Right.
You are somehow magical enough to steal the magic, to obtain the magic.
Correct. I was like, I actually don't know what the fuck any of that meant. Because then the other thing is, like, if they're saying, like, oh, they found out wizarding secrets, so, like, they learned how to do magic, like, in like, from, like, a book or something, right? Like, whatever, they learned that way. Then what you're really saying is, like, magic can just be taught. Like, there's nothing inherently, like, special about it, which I think goes fully against the argument.
You're literally born with magic or you're not.
It's so crazy to me.
You're born gay or you're not.
So they have to find out. People have to like go in front of a Muggle-born registration committee, and then like prove whether or not they have like some close relative that is a known witch or wizard.
The crazy thing that I was thinking about is that like the people that are just like full adults, like someone that's like 40 years old and has been like a wizard their entire, was Muggle born, but like was a wizard their entire life, lives in the wizard community. Then they're basically just called in and they're like, basically what happens in the movie, it happens in the film. It's like she's literally been a witch her entire life.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Another fun policy update that we learn about is that attendance at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is now mandatory. And this is when Remus is like, up until now, as we all know.
As we all are fully aware,
attendance at Hogwarts was optional, and people could either be homeschooled or they could be sent to other schools abroad if their parents chose.
The only thing that rang a bell was when, like, the Patel twins.
Oh, when they got pulled out.
Yeah, when they got pulled out. But that was, like, for such a short amount of time that I was like, they're not, like, completely unenrolled in school. But apparently you can be.
Do you know if homeschooling is legal in Britain?
Yeah, you can get homeschooled. When we were in Birmingham one time, there was, like, a homeschool, like, little rally or something going on.
Oh, okay. Because I know some countries don't, like, I think Scandinavia doesn't allow it or something. There's like a couple countries that don't, but.
Yeah. No, you can do it here. I don't think it's nearly as common.
Right.
As like, I mean, we knew a lot of, like, Donnie Bradley was homeschooled before high school. I knew a lot of homeschooled people from the Unitarian church I went to as a kid. Yeah. But not as common over here.
So homeschooling is happening in the UK.
It does exist.
For witches and wizards specifically, just so everybody knows. Because we all knew this, obviously, before this was ever brought up in this paragraph. Right, we all knew this. Lupin, so the conversation is like, weird and uncomfortable. There is a part that mentions like they had searched the burrow and they found the ghoul in the attic, but like didn't want to get near it. But I couldn't tell if that meant they like knew it was a ghoul and just didn't want to get near it, or they actually did think it was Ron.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of updates on the wizarding front. None of them are great.
No, they're all bad. Lupin now has come to the crux of why he's here. He's not here to discuss pleasantries. He's not here to talk about the weather and the state of the world. Okay. Lupin wants to know what the mission is and if he can come on the mission with them. He's trying to join the team.
He wants to take it from a golden trio to a platinum square.
I was going to say platinum as well.
Yes, honey.
A platinum quartet. Wait, what did you say?
Square.
Square. Platinum square.
And Harry says, like, if Dumbledore hadn't told you that there must have been a reason, so I don't, whatever. And so Lupin is like, I understand, but like I have abilities and can assist and like can protect you in ways that you haven't like thought about yet, blah, 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 blah. So there is a bit of like Harry's like, it does seem like Harry actually considers this for a second, where he's like, because Lupin's like, you don't have to tell me what it is. You just have to let me go with you and like do whatever. Now, at some point, you would have had to tell him what the fuck you're doing, because he would have been like, what are we doing?
Yeah, he's going to figure it out. That would be so annoying. You wouldn't be able to talk about it anytime he was with you, which would be all the time.
Right. So he's like, Hermione is like, what about Tonks? And he's like,
thank you, Hermione.
What about her?
Yeah, he's like cold when it gets brought up.
When this conversation first started and they like Hermione like notices this weird change in tone, I was like, oh my God, is he imperious? Like, is this conversation not even real?
Yeah,
like,
you were like,
what it's so strange.
Yeah.
No, it's worse. He's just a man. So slowly over the course of the conversation, he reveals that Tonks is pregnant. So that's why she's she's spending time with her parents.
He says it in a tone of voice that is like he's having to reveal something like so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like dragging it out of him.
Yeah.
So obviously he feels very uncomfortable with this information. They like congratulate him and he's like, thanks.
Yeah, he literally does the like, anyway.
And so he kind of like, they continue the conversation until he like basically is like, I regret marrying Tonks. I regret this whole sordid and this grotesque misalliance.
Yeah, he's like, she's an outcast now. I've made her an outcast. Even her parents like don't think that we should be together. And then he's like, oh my God, and the kid, like what's gonna happen to the kid? And he like,
my kind doesn't breed.
Yeah, and they say he looks like kind of like almost like deranged because he just is so like upset with himself for like possibly making a child have to live through what he's lived through. Because obviously we know he was turned as a child. So he's like, that there will be better off without me is like why he is so like trying to separate himself. It's because there's a lot of shame and guilt wrapped up in what's happened.
Yeah, which almost like now that this whole scene happens, it really bums me out how this storyline ends for
I know, Adam.
It's like,
yes.
Okay.
I was thinking about that as well.
But we'll get to it in a much later chapter.
Yeah.
And Harry loses his mind. Harry's like, oh, so you're just going to abandon your fucking family because you're a fucking coward? You just want to, you think you're going to play a little daredevil because you want to be like serious? Well, first of all, Harry, don't bring up Remus's dead ex-boyfriend.
I know. Okay? Yeah. Come on.
That is so shitty.
That was his lover. Yeah.
That is so a low blow. How dare you?
Yeah. Come on.
And Lupin, like these two lose their mind. Like,
yeah. It's bad.
Like, this might be one of the last times Harry ever talks to Remus Lupin in a real conversation. And it's not good. It's not good. Even not knowing the ending, there's a distinct possibility that any of you could die at any minute. Like all of these conversations could be the last.
Yeah.
And this is how you choose to end it. I just want to say very quickly that this reaction from Harry, while I think to some level is understandable because he obviously grew up without parents and like the thing that makes him special is that his mom gave up her life for him.
Yeah. There
is a level that like it's very I don't think Remus is right, to be clear. I think he's wrong for doing this. Right. But it's very frustrating that Harry is. There's not. I don't know. This is just not Harry as a character. So I'm just expecting him to be a different person. You should not.
Yeah. It's like it's one of those things. If it's like there was a way to have this conversation that wasn't this.
Yeah.
Like
no,
I
also understand that there's a massive age difference between these people, and like in no way on earth is Remus Lupin going to be like, Harry, I'm seeking your counsel. What shall I do about my marriage and child?
Yeah.
So Remus draws his wand. He like shoots Harry with a spell that blows him back, and then just like immediately leaves. Like he's like, fuck this. I'm not going on your good luck with your fucking Horcruxes or whatever. I hope that works out.
Yeah, whatever you're trying to do.
Harry says parents shouldn't leave kids unless they have to. This whole thing, Jo famously was a single mom, and I was like, oh, this is very like she has some residual frustration about like being left as a single mom, which is it's not easy. It's fair.
So bizarre that she is so bizarre though that she is still writing it from like the male perspective of like it's like we come in, we hear it from Lupin rather than like Tonks's perspective.
Yeah,
like
it's also interesting that she gives this narrative that is obviously something that we wouldn't like as and like you can make your characters morally gray. That's fine. Like,
yeah.
I think it fleshes them out more. It's just interesting that it's like, oh, we're gonna give this to Remus Lupin. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Then the fun part that I wanted to note was that Harry wondered if James would back him up for this argument, or if he would be angry that Harry got in this argument with his former best friend. One thing. If you read this book series, as we have done for the past, 5 years now, you will notice that as the books progress, there is just as Harry gets older, there is just more of these like Harry wonders what James would think. He's done it a couple times about like Lily, but it's mostly James, right? And we've talked about the gender of it all, but like it is just funny that like as Harry is more aware that his parents had lives, that he like thinks of them in this way instead of just like, because in the first book he doesn't think about them at all. Like he never is like, Harry wonders there's like he wonders if his dad was a good seeker, like when he finds that out, and then obviously he sees them in the mirror of Erised, but there's never like the equivalent of like they are the guardian angels on Harry's shoulder, or the like, like they're his conscience. Yeah. To some degree.
Right.
So it's tense. It's tense in the house. Harry goes back to the Daily Prophet, and as he's flipping through, he sees an article from Rita Skeeter about Dumbledore.
Of course.
She's like releasing excerpts of her book in the Daily Prophet.
Is this a thing? This is a thing that happens sometimes? You can read like a little blip of the book in a newspaper? I'm asking the wrong person. I gotta ask like my in-laws.
You would have had, and it would have had to be like when print media like existed, like back in the 90s. I guess this probably happened.
Oh no, it is. People still very much read the paper, but it's just not our generation. Like the papers, people go to like a corner shop and get like 3 different very well-known papers. Apparently here in the UK, still, it's just like people who are like Michael's mom and dad's age. So I should ask them.
Yeah, you should ask them. So there is a photo that accompanies this. It's a photo of Percival, who is Albus's father, Kendra, his mother, and then the 3 kids. Kendra is described as having a severe look with raven black hair, and Harry is reminded of pictures of Native Americans. And I was like, what a fascinating pull.
Yeah.
From to where? See the word American in this book series is so crazy to me.
Yeah. I'm glad she did Native American.
I mean, it's truly American. The least she could do.
The least she could do.
And, Percival has this like glint in his eye, kind of like Dumbledore. This picture is super old, or Ariana's just a baby. Aberforth and Albus are like younger. They look like each other. This is before Albus has glasses and a broken nose.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And in the thing, it's just pretty much a quote of like post Percival going to Azkaban and resettling in Godric's Hollow.
Yeah.
For the goat thing, by the way. This is the oh no, Aberforth was the goat thing. Do we know what Percival did?
He hurt muggles, like tortured a muggle or something.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So he's in Azkaban, Kendra's rehomed to Godric's Hollow, but Tilda Bagshot gives a quote of being like, one time I saw her with Ariana when she was little out in the garden, and then I never saw her again.
Yeah.
And then
didn't even know they had a daughter.
The rest of it is just like, and because of this one quote, we can assume that she was a squib.
The leap.
The reach. We are stretching. We are doing yoga, honey. We are stretching.
Yeah. This is a Mr. Fantastic stretch, girl.
God. This is how I'm like, people read this and they're, whatever. This is whatever. People believe AI images are real now. So like, I'll believe people believe anything at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ariana was kept locked up because she was a squib, and then that's the insinuation. Mm-hmm. And at this point, Creature then returns. He's got Mundungus Fletcher. Mm-hmm. Mundungus is a piece of shit as always. Nothing new there.
Yeah, he thinks he's there for something completely different, which I was like, yeah, you know what? You should be trying to explain yourself for that shit. Mm-hmm.
He's like, oh, or you brought me back because I didn't want to die to protect you, Harry. Sorry, that wasn't part of my plan. And Harry's like, I actually don't give a fuck about that. Let's calm down. And he was like, oh, you want the goblets? And he's like, well, you're closer, but no.
Yeah, almost there.
Keep going.
Yeah.
The best part of this chapter, first of all, is when Creature hits Mundungus over the head with a saucepan.
I was laughing out loud.
And like Harry has to stop him from doing it again. And he's like, if I need you to more persuasion from Mundungus, I'll let you do it. And he's like, thank you, Master Harry.
Yeah. He's like, oh.
It's really funny. See, all you have to do is treat a house elf nice. That's all you gotta do. Treat them real.
Hermione was telling you this from the beginning, y'all.
And then they are like, you took a bunch of stuff from here a couple years ago. I'm looking for a locket. What'd you do with it? And he's like, why? And they're like, oh, because you think you should have gotten more for it. And he's like, I basically gave it away. And then he reveals this. Sorry, I want to read it specifically.
Hold, please.
Because I have to do my Cockney accent.
Oh, yeah, great. I'm so excited.
I was selling in Diagon Alley, and she came up to me and asks if I've got a license for trading in magical artifacts. Bleeding Snoop. She was going to find me, but she took a fancy to the locket and told me she'd take it and let me get off that time, and to think myself lucky. Who was this woman? Asked Harry. I don't know. Some ministry hag. Mundungus considered for a moment, brow wrinkled. Little woman, bow on top of her head. He frowned and then added, look like a toad. Harry dropped his wand to hit Mundungus on the nose and shot red sparks into his eyebrows, which ignited. Aguamenti, screamed Hermione, and a jet of water streamed from her wand, engulfing and a spluttering and choking Mundungus. He gave the locket to Dolores Umbridge. Dun, dun, dun.
Harry feels the scars on the back of his hand. What, prickle? I think he said or something.
Yes.
The scars on the back of his hand were prickling. It would be Umbridge, of course.
That's why
she's got to bring her in. She's got to bring her in one last time. Mm-hmm. Umbridge would be loving Voldemort in charge of the Ministry, as we know. She's a sadist.
Oh, for sure. She's
back.
The
she's
Slytherin,
back, y'all. The Toad, she is the Slytherin. The Toad is back, y'all.
Welcome back, Toad.
Amazing, Adam. Well done.
Thanks.
Nice and neat. All right, that wraps up this chapter. Next week, we'll be reading chapter 12, Magic is Might. We do have a comment from Sophia Drenkard. Sophia says, amazing episode as always, but I cringed a bit when you were talking about the charm that protects Harry. Dumbledore explained that because she died for him, this protection lives in his blood, so also in her sister's blood. A very rare kind of magic, and it dies when he turns 17 because he then no longer is a child, and the wand thing will be explained in King's Cross. 5 stars as always. I think if I'm remembering this conversation that we had, it was the fact that neither of them were going to be in the house. So like, because Petunia wasn't physically in the house, then we were like, would that affect it? Because like, yes, the blood thing 100% It's the blood that is in her blood, in his blood. Totally understand that.
Yeah.
But it was just the bit of, but neither of, if he's left in the house alone and she isn't actively living there, like, does that change? Does that affect?
And also, like, I guess my question is always like, because that was like, he sent him home every summer because he was like, you have to maintain that you live there.
Yeah.
It still doesn't really make sense. It's fine. It's
just
really
the end
fine.
Of it was a little wonky is all we were saying. I am really excited to hear what
I do love that his blood knows the minute he turns 17.
Yeah. The blood is like, 17.
Oh, he's not a minor. Bye.
But I am excited for the King's Cross chapter to hear how the wand situation is explained, because I did not remember that.
Yeah, that's honestly, I would not be surprised if that's like a full 2-hour episode, because there's so much.
We're gonna have to get into it. Yeah,
I know.
But thank you, Sophia. We always love hearing what you guys think. Sorry for the cringe. You can find the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcasts, as well as video versions on the Ampliverse YouTube channel and Spotify. As always, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so that we can get a perfect Newt score. 5 stars only, or else you will be hit over the head with a frying pan by Creature. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HPAnxious or YouTube and TikTok at the Ampliverse. We are hosted on Spotify for podcasters, so thank you to them, and are a proud member of the Ampliverse. Check them out at theampliverse.com. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Ari.
And as always, whatever that spell Lupin did that sent Harry flying.